Welcome everybody, Spectre18 here, and Sunset Harbor has been announced. Yes, we can now seriously join the hype train because we know this is coming out in a week, and there's a lot more coming out here than I thought would be, so even I am more excited than I thought I would be. So let us go. You really should go check out the real trailer. The link will be in the description as if you need it. So this is our first asset definitely from this. This is the transport hub. This looks like a different station. It's this, the walkway, and this. We will see this being plopped later on, but we don't actually see the model completely. So I think this might be the only shot that we get of that. So the fishing industry is the big thing that everyone already knew about because this was already revealed in the initial leak. Personally, I wasn't too interested in this, but I can definitely see reason for that interest. We're definitely expanding our industry options, and we're going to have more activity on the waters, right? We're going to have more boats. We're going to have just more stuff happening on our shorelines. So that in itself gives a lot of merit to adding this. I really don't recognize this building here because it is a new industry. It's gonna have industry buildings, right? So likely this would be one of the processing facilities, right? This is gonna be the one that makes into fish fillets or something like that. This will make the actual fish products. Now this is kind of interesting because people have wanted intercity buses for a long time, and I have as well.
Intercity buses are improving connectivity between states.
So connections to the outside, to the borders. So that's what they're going to be used for. And that's cool. Personally, I would have wanted to see something more like handling traffic between different, I guess I'm going to say regions. So you can have like towns around the map. So I would love to have seen the intercity buses actually be more for that. It's a little more tailored to that instead of like a stop every block, which is almost what you do with your regular buses right now. But you know what? Even if it is just for connections, as we see here, like this is on the highway. So there's a reason for that. I mean, that's cool too. That's fine because we'd love to see buses going to the edges of the map. Well, these are the trolleys. This confused me when you first watch the trailer because the guy's talking about the intercity buses right now, and I didn't really pick up that the bus we just saw on the previous screen was the intercity bus. These are the trolleys right here. Oh, not to mention my idea of trolleys are like the San Francisco trolleys, you know? So when I see these huge buses, they look like normal buses to me. But if you take a good look, like this white kind of line right here, that's the contact thing. Those are the rabbit ears, the praying mantis antenna or whatever that are touching the wires. Basically, these are trams without tracks. But if you have blimps, then almost any other transport option is a go. So trolleys, awesome. I love this. I love how a huge row of them are coming out. It's like it's just cinematically that fits kind of storytelling pretty well, right? It's like they're now being serviced by trolley buses, and all the trolley buses are just coming out like, yes. We're on our way to work. Hi-ho, hi-ho, it's off to work we go. Ah, something else I noticed about this. This looks a lot like the tram depot. Are they just reusing the same asset? Maybe not. Because another very curious point, and hard to wrap my head around, is this part right here. Looks like we have an opening here too. So I was like, great, so we have an end-of-line depot. Because in vanilla, if you want trams to have a sort of end-of-line and then just come back, they don't reverse. They don't reverse like metros or trains. You need to make an actual loop. You need to just loop that track around. The only way to have them do that in a more classy fashion would be to have a tram depot that can let them turn around in the building. And there are assets in the workshop for that. So vanilla, you can't do it. You need to make a loop. This looks like they're actually including it in vanilla. So the trolleys will be able to turn around at the station, at the depot. But this one's coming out, and so is this one. Wait, what? And this is clearly a one-way street, so I don't understand this. Why do we have the same trolleys coming out two different places? I am really confused here. This one doesn't move throughout this whole scene, so I'm hoping that that's like bugged for some reason. This road is one way. Unless that's exactly the reason why that bus is stuck. Like maybe this isn't part of the asset. I mean, this part kind of makes it look like it might be, but if it's not part of the asset, maybe the person just put down the wrong road and this bus is like, I'm supposed to drive that way, but you're making me point this way. Both in how it looks and how exactly it's going to function. I'm really curious about that one. Metro update. This is a metro. Now, we need to look at this more carefully, actually. Because metros are not rendered in game. They are rendered, but they're this blank boxy thing. So what we're seeing here is actually our first look at a vanilla metro. So this is what the metro looks like. This is our first look, I'm pretty sure. And actually, that's a pretty good look. I mean, that is not disappointing for vanilla. I find real life metros are fairly ugly. They're kind of boxy and all that. That can definitely be part of their charm as well, because it's kind of unique about them, I think. So this one is kind of there. It's got that really dusty kind of metal look. A little boxy, but not too much. And not bad with the details as well. I might even argue that looks higher detail than the vanilla trains. Oh, and the tracks look different. Yeah, what is this? Look at this. Maybe the people who know metros more will be able to tell me, but that's new to me. This has railings too. Oh, and the tunnel. Guys, look at this tunnel. This is vanilla? Like, when have you seen something that ornamented for just like something as normal as a train or a metro or whatever? Like, this is a cool tunnel. I mean, like, I want to steal that asset. I want to get in the asset editor and pull that model out and put in a bunch of other roads or tracks or whatever. That is a cool thing. So I'm really excited for that. This is pretty nice. It's not a disappointing look. Like, I feel like it's comparable to stuff you would find in the workshop, you know? It's a really decent design. I like it. Oh yeah, here we go. See? So here we go. Yeah, here's a different kind of track. So I guess metros often have a third rail. I mean, that's different than what I was just looking at before, because those were between the two sets of rails. But this is between, in the middle of a set of rails. And looks like we have 2 stations here. So this is the one that was just being placed, which goes beside the road. This one might be a ground station. Oh, right. We have the elevated station, which is what's being placed, but then we also have a regular ground station. And then this is the typical metro entrance. So basically your metro tab normally has just this and this, I guess. Basically we have a fully featured network now. We're going to have this one track option, and this is going to be for your typical underground subway, but it's also going to be for your ground and above ground. Yeah. So here's buses, intercity buses. There's our trams. Metro, subway. Then you have your regular train, boats, planes, monorail, cable car, taxi, tourist buses, post office, and
drones.
Okay, no. I think these are the transport hubs, but we'll look at that later. But that's a cool track. Look at that. And this is the track itself. This is not part of the station. The station track ends right there. Oh yeah, that is a really cool track. Now here's an interesting thing. What could this be? I'm definitely getting a bit of that tropical feel, because this looks yellow and red. But yeah, what could this be? Looks like handicap parking. So I don't know, this could be something like elderly care, different kinds of clinics, or even just like a spa-like thing. I don't know what to call them. Now this is what I really am looking forward to. It's the helicopters and the airplanes. Because look at this. How big is this, huh? 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, it's actually 5. 5 by 5 isn't the most compact thing, but it's a very normal building size. What I really like about that then is that it feels fairly compact compared to a lot of the other transport options. Oh, I like how there's a bunch of people right there. That's where they're waiting. That's the queuing place. The reason I'm really hyped for this is because we've had to overuse blimps. There are many workshop assets that are really cool, even actual helicopters. We have helicopters, and we have a bunch of sci-fi, like vertical takeoff kind of assets. And we all have to use the blimp system for that. And not only are we overusing blimps that has a really big landing pad thing, a really big stops and everything, but there's also the blimp animation that we have to contend with. All the blimps do this silly rocking motion. Like, it's not silly necessarily if it was a real blimp. We have like futuristic airplanes or whatever, even the helicopter one, and they're just like going. So now we will have proper helicopter AI to be used beyond fire and what is it? Fire, police, and is there hospital as well? Are there medical helicopters? I forget. I don't remember. So we're finally going to be able to take those helicopter assets and all those really cool sci-fi assets, whether they're from Star Wars or Destiny, and we'll be able to use them as helicopters or
light aircraft enthusiasts from across the city.
A different kind of airplane. If you're not using the blimps, then you're forced to be using airplanes. And that means that we would have to be overusing airports to have these kind of vehicles. Now we have smaller airports. At least the buildings are smaller. I assume the runway has to be the same, right? Because the vanilla airports they already have runways that are way too small. But the point is we now have a different option. So it's a lot easier and a lot neater. It just feels neater to be able to have these dedicated functions for airports. We can keep those for the long range stuff as they're meant to be used, and we can use these small airports now for the private vehicles, obviously, as they intend, but also, of course, any of these other workshop assets that I've really been wanting to use. Now we can see here that helicopters for sure will have lines, so we can draw our lines ourselves and This is kind of interesting. I'm not sure if what the dotted line is. That looks like they're blimp paths, but why are they overlaid with these? Unless this is normal, I just didn't know because I haven't really used the blimps yet. It's kind of interesting because this is obviously like a node, right, or a landing point. But this part's really funky right here. Like, look how this continues straight and this one turns. So I'm not sure if there are like different lines coming out of here. It really confuses me. It looks like just way too much here for just one thing. And they do say
High flyers are taking to the skies with a new passenger helicopter service.
High Flyers passenger service. So I'm inclined to think that this is for citizens. Passenger service, and I say high flyers, which makes me think of rich people, right? If it were tourists, I feel like they would say tourists. You know, they would say something like expand your tourism industry or give tourists a view of your city, a bird's eye view of your city, something like that, right? But that's not what they're saying. You know what's another hint? Let's look at the helicopters themselves. Okay. So that looks fairly bland, doesn't it? White and red, maybe black nose. Here's another one. This is probably the same thing, right? The same model. I don't really know what tourist helicopters look like, but I would expect something a little fancier, right? Like the tour buses. I just feel like they would look more interesting. They look very formal. Now the airplanes, they said enthusiasts from around the city. So again, this sounds like it's meant for citizens, right? People who want to fly their own planes or learn to fly. This is where they go. Except how do they work then? We don't see lines here or anything. But I guess I don't think there's any reason to think that they're going to work differently from your regular airports. And if I remember correctly, you can't actually control the pads or airplanes on airports, right? Non-vanilla. And I don't play vanilla, so I don't really know. But I think all the path editing that I'm thinking about is done with mods. With that more network stuff mod. Especially if it's enthusiasts rather than the large airlines that are in your big airports, then people should be flying around wherever they want. It would be very interesting if they code that in. Some people just want to like fly around the area, and some people want to do like a loop farther away. That would be really cool. But I would prefer either a no-line option where there's already pre-programmed paths for the citizens to take, or you can choose to make your own lines, and that way you can either connect airports directly and make your own lines between them that way, or just bend that path away, right, and do funky circles and all that. Ideally, I would love this to be the first transport option we have that can work both with lines and without lines. Most likely it's just gonna be one, but hey.
I can dream, Harold!
We didn't really look at what the buildings might be. All I can say is that it looks like we have at least two, right? There's this one right here, looks like hangars, and then here's like the office, the terminal building, I guess. Doesn't look like the third building over there has the same props on the outside, so it might be actually three buildings right there. So I'm not sure if that's all one, or if it's three individual buildings that you could put together. Hopefully it's separate assets, and then it's semi-modular, you know? Now here we are looking at the station that we were looking at earlier on. You can see this is actually a hub, because once it's plopped down, we can see here that this is your normal train track, and this looks like tram. So you have train over here and tram over here, and you can switch between the two methods of transport, and the road goes in the middle, which makes sense. Two-way tracks on both sides, perfect, yeah. I guess you could have taxi or a bus in front here, maybe metro inside, but the main point is trams and trains. Now, let's take a look at the transport hubs. Number one, this is to me the most interesting one of all. And the reason is because it says bus terminal. So we know it's a bus terminal. But here we have this kind of carport thing, right? So we know that buses are going to go in here. But look at this. We have these four awnings, but they're on the other side as well. So this to me is very curious thing. Because does that mean then that this lower floor is actually completely open? Because this is clearly a building that goes all the way to first floor. Here we definitely have a first floor. Conveniently, what a coincidence, this part of the building sticks out a little bit and we just cannot be sure what's happening at this point. I almost feel like they did this on purpose. They picked the angle on purpose so we can't tell. But what I'm trying to say is that because of this design right here, I'm very inclined to think that this whole area is open. There are no markings anywhere, so I think I have the freedom to assume or guess or presume that your regular bus is going here, because I assume that will be what you're gonna have most of, and then your intercity are over here. Does that make sense? I think it does. I hope it does. Next, this is the one I'm least impressed with. Little bit lazy. I'm sorry, Colossal Order. Feeling a little lazy on this one. There's two reasons for this. First of all, it's a very disjoint look, and again, no markings. I hope they add some markings. There's an obvious benefit to this building, right? This is all compact, things are connected together, that makes sense. This, however, you could build yourself. If this were a building that you could already plop, then you could make this yourself, right? You just add a parking lot, there's your bus thingy, and you put the metros. Easy. There's really nothing special about how these things are put together. The second issue is pay a close attention to the metros. Right here. The entrances, they're facing the road. It even looks a lot like how you would make it yourself. Because metros need road access and you're putting them right against the road like that. But it's already a whole transport hub asset. You shouldn't need road access for the individual components of it. It's one thing. You would park here, or even ride the bus in here, and you have to walk all the way out to the sidewalk, back to the traffic, and then walk into the metro. That is the entrance to the escalator. That is sloping down. So yeah, why you're trying to get people close to traffic. A lot of public transport is about getting away from traffic. So don't put the metro entrance in such a dangerous place where crowds of people are going to be trying to cram into the metro and down the escalator. No. The simple look is fine. You know what? I can deal with that. But just turn the metros around, please. Call us an order. If you're watching, please turn around the metros. Now this one's pretty cool. This one I definitely like. Because again, this one makes sense to have as its own asset. Everything's very custom here. It's very homogeneous as well. You know, there's consistency in the design, the colors. I like this. This is a solid asset. They have to be buses. It feels a little short, but I think that's normal, right? More buses, I guess. And then something else over here. So there's a lot going on here, to be honest. So I don't really know. Maybe these are taxis? Like, there seems to be coverings over here as well, and that can't be trains or anything, because otherwise it would have the tracks. I could imagine that these are, again, normal buses, and then these are maybe intercity buses, but then what's at the back? But yeah, I don't know, it's very interesting. Looks like this one could do a lot, so I'm kind of excited for it, even though I'm not really sure what it does. And just as a quick note, we see also that this side right here has like a little walkway or something. So hey, that's a cool little detail. I love little things like that. Skywalks, I guess is the term. Maybe this one is my favorite one? I'm not sure. I might want to take back what I said before. Could be my favorite one, but I'm most curious about this one. Because this is the one where I don't know what I'm looking at. I want to, like, is it open down there? I guess I'm more interested in what the whole model looks like. And there really isn't anything to say about these other ones because I'm pretty sure these are the vanilla ones. Like, we've seen that design, right? We know that one. We know that one. That one's definitely vanilla. I know that one's in the game. Right? I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't make claims about vanilla. Let's move on. Alright, everything so far was part of a stream, but now I'm recording locally, so I removed some of the overlays that were in the way. Sorry about that. But now, here we're at the next scene, and this we don't really know what it is. However, a lot of the scenes have been coming in a little early in relation to the commentary, so they're just about to announce water treatment, so this is potentially part of that. But it does look very different in style, so I really just don't know what this is. If you guys know or have some guesses, go ahead and let me know in the comments, but I really can't tell. I just think it's a little interesting though, because we have all these big containers, so if this is a random shot, like, can it even be part of the fish stuff? Like, I don't know. We have crates, we have containers, we have huge recycling bins, and we have an antenna here, and looks like speakers, I guess? It actually kind of looks like a boombox, right? Like a radio. So, like, that's kind of funny. It's like, hey, can you change the station? Give me a moment. All right, which preset do you want? You want 6? I can't. I don't think I can reach 8. So if you don't want 8, please don't tell me you want 8. We've listened to that station way too many times. Come on. So I mean, like, what is that? I know it must be speakers. I just think it looks funny. All right, I'm sorry. Let me have some fun here. And then we have this like. Are they cooling towers? Are they chimneys or something? I don't really know. I don't think those are just supports. They're kind of thick. I wonder if that's part of the piping. There's a weird entrance here. Like there's some fair amount of detail, and yet I still don't know what it's all about. Definitely an industrial look, even with the coloring. Like obviously they want something more durable or washable, likely at the bottom here. Oh wait, this looks like more for trucks. So maybe it's a new warehouse. That is a small area for the trucks to back into that part of the warehouse. I give up. I really don't know. But we are moving on to water treatment and waste management. So here we are. This is a pretty cool addition, especially for realism, because so far we don't really have any good water treatment options in the game. Like, they're not really this kind of stuff that you expect to see. We have, you know, the water dump thing that just basically takes the raw sewage and drain water and then pours into the river or whatever. And then I think it was in the Green Cities expansion that we got an upgraded version of that. It has 2 of these little basins, and I guess that's for the aeration and chemical and treatments and all that. And that puts out clean water. As far as I know, that's perfectly clear. That's perfectly clean water. I've always treated it as such, and it's never had a problem. This is the real stuff, you know? This is what you expect to see. A lot of these different round basins, round chambers. Looks like there's some others over here as well. And looks like you can have a real water treatment complex in here. Before this, the only thing you could do is, of course, use workshop assets. And there are 2 good ones I've known about. One is pretty modern, that's kind of like this. Has some really big open air aeration and treatment chambers, actually. And then another one is more like an, I think maybe 1900s style. It's bulkier, brick buildings, stuff like that. That's the only way you can have a big treatment complex. But here, they're making it look like you have enough to have a true water treatment and waste management district in your city. And waste management is another curious point, because I think we do have adequate options, but I did feel it was fairly light when I think about what we had in SimCity 3000 and SimCity 4. I think I remember we had zonable landfills, and then we had the incinerator, and then we had a high-tech incinerator that was cleaner, and then, if not some other thing as well, we then had our unique building, which was the toxic waste factory. I think that did count as waste management, you know, taking toxic waste, but then of course it also produced stuff. I don't know if that actually had any impact to the game though, or if it was just for fun, but supposedly that's what it did. But here I think we only have like the landfill, incinerator, and recycling center. So yeah, a few more options would be good. And you know what? Guys, did you see it? A new dump truck. Yes! Look at that. Triple axles in the back right there. This is an industrial level dump truck. Oh yes. So this must be carrying either like all the compacted garbage, like collecting everything from maybe like a city center. I don't know what to call these things, but some sort of collection center, I guess. And then it's going to take it out to the big regional incinerators or whatever, which might be what these are. We do have some workshop assets, something like city, district, and region level schools and waste management options, if not others as well. So it could be that they're bringing that idea into the game. Could be. What these actually are, though, we can't really tell. I mean, they're just these fairly generic, boxy industries. I mean, nothing wrong with that. I mean, that's just what these kind of buildings would be. And when we go into the overlay here, we can clearly see that these are, in fact, all of the water management ones, and then these and that over there are the waste management. So, and here's a regular dump truck. Hello! We're gonna have 2 types of dump trucks. Now, one more thing about these here is just how many assets. Like there's one there, 1, 3, so potentially up to 4 different assets, I guess. But this is really curious because when I first looked at this, I thought we had maybe 3 of the same one, because these 2 are definitely the same. And then the back, I figured, oh, yeah, they're just repeated. But no. Look more closely.
Oh, okay.
Each of these 2 assets have the silo-like thingy, and I assume, I think I was wrong about that. And only one of these chambers. I'm already changing my mind again. Looks like the next one is part of the next asset, and that one has an even bigger green basin chamber thingy. And then over here, it almost looks like we have 3 silos in a row. Yeah, there's a silo as well. So that looks like a different thing as well. So again, about the same number as these. We could have at least 3 new assets just for water treatment. Really interesting to see what that could be. Moving on. All right. Fishing. Now, like I said, I'm more excited about this now that I'm seeing just how much more activity, how much more commotion and chaos is going to be there. It looks really cool. And this looks like a trawler to me. I didn't think of it as first because I'm expecting to see the arms like this. Like every picture I see of a trawler has these arms out. But maybe these are in the, I don't know, the stored position? I don't really know what the stored positions are. So maybe that's what's going on. Tiny little boat, tiny little boat. And look at this. They're one-way paths. So, which makes sense for a boat, right? The way they have to turn around and stuff. You might as well draw that yourself. This makes a lot of sense, this kind of path drawn over here. So each asset you're going to put down has a way out and a way in. And we have at least, we'll have 1, 2, 3. No, wait, these two are the same. No, they're different. Yeah, they're different. 2 piers, 3. These two are the same, 4 and 5. So at least 4 different assets for this. So you get to draw out your own path, so you get to control what this all looks like, which is great to make sure that your lines don't clash, especially with like the cargo ships and the cruise lines. And
An Earth Kingdom ship.
And because this is part of industry, we've got different resources. Technically, I guess you're getting 4 different new industries. 4 different kinds of fish is a lot. So I'm hoping that this is kind of at the sawdust level, where like, it's just to make it sound like you're doing different things, and it does kind of control how you plan picking up these resources, because you're gonna have to draw your paths out, so you know, like, here's the anchovies, here's salmon, shellfish area, and tuna. But I'm gonna hope that all actually gets created into just like fish fillets or something. Or fish oil. And look, this is important and makes a lot of sense. I'm glad they made sure this was in here. Of course, water pollution matters. So you're probably gonna kill off your fish. I'm hoping that this means that fish shouldn't be a limited resource, right? Or in oil, all that stuff might run out in your map, but I would hope that fish don't. And they only run out if the waters are polluted. That would make more sense. And you know what? If you pollute the water past a certain point, then maybe they'll never come back. That could be interesting. All right, here we see a live view. We got like at least 3 different types of, looks like a fish trap, fish farm kind of thing. I don't really know. So this is funny. You got one that looks like this looks like lifesavers to me. And then like this one is, it is green. And I'm looking at these buildings back here. I'm trying to see if it looked like the mysterious building. I don't think so. However, we can take a quick look at this screen again, because this is where we have the industries tab open. So we can see now how fishing has been added. Pretty sure this is normal for every industry. So I think for every industry, it's like there's 2 to 3 assets for the raw materials, for collecting the raw materials. And then there are 2 kinds of processing and 2 sizes of them, so there are 4 assets of those. And then you might have your administration building, your barracks, and I'm not sure if there's anything else. So yeah, it looks like we're getting about the same number of assets, at least, because we have the arrow there. Anyway, here are the little boats, you see? So they're out there everywhere, and aha! Here's something I was going to mention later, but this one looks like a different boat. So I was going to say that my only concern is that all the boats seem to be exactly the same, and we'll see that in some later shots. But it looks like this one's a little different. This doesn't have the trolling arms. So I don't even really know what this ship is. Oh, there's that boat again. Hello! Yeah, I don't know about this boat. Maybe someone else can tell me. I don't know if that's a regular boat or not. So these are the trawlers, right? Look at these little bugs. These little water bugs. They look like this little. They just look at that. Yeah, here, right here. They look like little insects on the surface of ponds, just like skimming around, you know, like water striders and things like that. Maybe even like mosquitoes a little bit. Ugh. Because it got that fuzzy look to them, right? Like it could be antenna, it could be their wings. Yeah, that's why I think they look like. And then in this picture right here, helicopter, airplane, our trolley, and the trawler. Trolley and trawler, trawler and trolley. Say that 9 times fast. Different styles than what we see in the game, but this one looks a little closer to the game stuff though. This looks a lot like the trolley in the game actually. All right, now that we've looked at everything, we can go back real quick and see if we catch stuff that we didn't notice before. Now here, at the very beginning, here's the boat, not like what we've been seeing a ton of, right? So again, I don't know what this boat is. I haven't actually used any boats yet in my city. So maybe someone else can let me know. I don't know what this is. If this is a new boat, cool. I'd love to know what it might be, because it seems open, so it seems like it could be a fishing boat. But it's very odd that we didn't really see that featured in the later scene. Here, we'll see this a lot better later on, but here's that train, and I actually already found out that's not tram. So I think we'll get there when we see a really good shot of that. There's the helicopter, Gherkin. There it is again. It's in the same area. Arc de Triomphe. There's our trawler. All right, we saw that building already. 3 pier 1. That looks like one of the ones that we saw near the fishing industry. Whether it is or not, that's a different question. Wait, what are these? They almost look like printers. This looks like a shelf right here. Pieces of wood or something. Interesting, I don't know what that is. All right, here's the transport hub I've said enough about already, but you can clearly see that was right. You know, there's the entrance. Moving on. Oh, hey! That's not a normal dump truck, is it? We might have a new city dump truck, and does this person have workshop assets? Are they tricking us here? Now, here there is something to see. We spent all of our time looking at this asset, right? Let's make sure that we really understand the layout here. This has like a triple roof thing, right? 3 different levels with 3 different pieces. And then we have a container and tanks over here, and then there's our landing pad. Okay. We saw it here, same thing, 5 units, blah, blah, blah. But let me come back here to the end. Here it is again, right? Okay, yeah, no problem. Yeah. Wait. What is this? What is this? This is a single roof. And another building with a single roof. And there's another helipad. Do we have 2 helicopter assets? Maybe one's a depot and the other one's a stop. Do they work like blimps that way? I kind of doubt it because you only have one landing pad. If it was a depot, I feel like, yeah, you'd need more space to have like a bunch of helicopters lined up, right? So I don't really know what this is. See, so it's like the same elements. The text was initially covering the tanks. So the same stuff. This is over there. It's just things are rearranged. Just another kind of stop. One's for tourism, one's for citizens. And then when it came to the transport hubs, well, now we know that this is indeed a ground metro station. And this thing that was placed, when I first looked at this, I'm like, I thought that looked like tram and train. But when we go back to the end, here we get a really good look. See the tracks, railings, and the weird third rail-like thing in the middle. Ah. Why didn't I think of this? They're upgrading metros. Of course, the transport hubs are going to include the upgraded metros. So that is not train and tram. That is train and metro. Train and ground metro. That's what this hub is. Isn't that cool? Although I do feel like it's really funny how what they've done here, because then here's the regular ground metro station. Huh? I mean, I'm gonna hope you guys have a really good reason to have a whole separate line and station there. But yeah, and it does go into different line over here. So I don't know, maybe one's more local, the other one's more long range. And yeah, we can really take a good look at the station here. So I like this. They have like these hedges, we got stairs, we got ramps on the sides. So we got coolness and accessibility all together. Parking, okay, we got some park. Oh, okay, no, that's just an optical illusion. It looks like an inside this covering, but yeah. But that is it, guys. That is everything I wanted to look at, everything I noticed. Did I miss anything? Let me know if I did in the comments below. But yes, this is City Skylines Sunset Harbor coming out in 1 week. Very excited, much more hyped about it than I thought it was gonna be. And yeah, a lot of cool stuff is coming out. Like, guys, basically, we might have some totally new content in terms of the healthcare stuff, whatever that might be. We're basically getting an update to industries. We're getting an update to mass transit. And one of those updates is basically a mod, a highly requested feature finally being brought into the vanilla game. So it's new stuff, expanding on a few of our existing DLCs, and a highly requested feature, or even like a workshop mod, finally being put into the vanilla game. That is a great deal, I think, for $15, which is all that this is going to be. Thank you. We already have a lot of DLCs for this, so I can really appreciate that. So if you like this video, please hit like, please hit subscribe if you want to see more of not really this stuff. I mean, I guess if people really like this, if this happens to get a lot of views or something, I would consider doing it again if there is another DLC. But really the main thing is I am a futuristic city detailer, so you can go see my other videos and to check that out. I have time lapses there about what I've been doing on stream. Hope you enjoy that. Please go ahead and put your thoughts in the comments. I didn't really want to speculate too much. I know I kind of did, but I didn't want to do too much of baseless speculation. But you guys are free to do that, have some fun in the comments. But we do only have 1 more week to go after all, and every day is gonna have some cool stuff. They have like a schedule, please go check that out. Thank you for watching, and wherever you... Who's that guy? Well, I'm Spectre18, and I make videos that are time lapses of a very futuristic city. I'm trying to push the limits of the game and what mods can do. And I guess I'm also pushing my imagination. So, please go check out those videos. They're probably going to be right there. And you can subscribe to my channel by clicking right here. I'm not pointing at the right places, am I? Well, wherever you may be, good morning, good afternoon, and good night.